I'm 20, I'm originally from Essex, and it's my second year being on the Kipri team.
And I'm Joe, I'm 26, I'm from the island of Malta, and it's my first year on the Kipri team. As you have seen, we're going to be sharing with you one of the LaSalle's core principles, that of inclusive community.
Yeah, and even though we've come a long way in technology, communication and industry, exclusion and discrimination are still very present in our world. In the Catechism of the Catholic Church, it states homosexual acts are intrinsically disordered. Personally, these words are very strong, and as this feeling has unfortunately in some cases led people and pushed people away from the church.
So we spoke to Chris Vella, who is a lecturer at the University of Malta and the coordinator of Drachma Group, which is a group that tried to merge spirituality with sexuality. And we spoke to him to explain this more.
My name is Christopher Vella. I come from Malta. I am 41 years old and I work as a lecturer teaching history at the University of Malta Junior College, teaching particularly for students in sixth form age, more or less. I'm also a member of the local teachers union. I'm a member of the council of the teachers union as well. And from the perspective of LGBT, I am the coordinator of Drachma, LGBTQI, which is the local kind of Catholic space for LGBTIQ people. And I'm also co-chair of the Global Network of Rainbow Catholics, which is a global network of about 50 organizations from all over the world of Catholic LGBTIQ plus groups from around the world. And I'm also board member of the European Network of Parents, treasurer of that organization as well. So multiple.
You have many hats when it comes to the...
I have many hats. And locally as well, with regards to the LGBTIQ movement, I'm also a member of the National Consultative Council for LGBTIQ Matters. So together with other representatives from the other LGBTIQ organizations in Malta, we kind of give advice to the Ministry on LGBTIQ matters. So that's how I am generally involved within this particular area of work, both locally and internationally.
So considering that you come from an LGBT and Catholic perspective, do you see that there are clashes between the two? And if so, what kind of clashes?
Okay, so when I was growing up, the two seemed to be 2 worlds apart. And I would say with a huge universe between them. Kind of, you could be gay but not Catholic, you could be Catholic but not gay. Kind of, the two didn't seem to be coming. And it was completely, taboo subject here to speak about being gay, bisexual, trans. You couldn't have a boyfriend, you couldn't be out that much. There was a lot of fear that you would be rejected by your own family, you'd be rejected by the church. So many people my age, more or less, always hid it, lived within the closet. And for me personally, I spent until I was 33 years old as a member of a Christian lay organization called Museum, which is a kind of a group of celibate men and women who dedicate their lives to catechesis and teaching others. And of course, kind of while I was living within that framework, I did not really need to kind of come out of the shell and say who I was. But of course, it was a very big thing within, as I had to go through a huge internal struggle, which I assume many other people my age and even younger would have passed, especially afraid of coming out even to friends within the community, even to spiritual directors, because there was always this fear that you would be ostracized or rejected. Besides, unfortunately, at least the way sexuality was taught to us was kind of a bit dirty, kind of it's the dirty thing, and being gay was even more dirtier, even with those very nice, I'm being of course sarcastic here, nice words within the catechism of being an objective disorder, kind of, okay, I am a disorder, objective, but still a disorder, you know, which of course, you know, kind of feeling like I should be sexually castrated, kind of, that in order to go to heaven, I had to castrate my sexuality, live, you know, a life of, you know, self-torture, self-inflicted torture, basically, because one couldn't be oneself. So it was a very huge, huge thing, which I kept secret for a long time. I mean, I did speak with a few friends of mine eventually, and to even priest friends of mine, slowly coming out of the shell and trying to understand myself. But it was always within a kind of negative kind of dimension, with a lot of guilt associated with it. So it was not easy. It was a huge thing, particularly in Catholic Malta, where things were so, you know. However, by time I made my decision to move out of the Christian lay organization, I did not move out, mind you, because of my sexuality. Kind of, it was not like I was going out to find a boyfriend or something of the sort. But,
Yeah.
but part of it was to try and discover myself and my faith. And that involved a difficult but very important process of deconstructing my faith approach, the way I looked at God, you know, God, the Father, who is more like the judge, you know, kind of image, breaking down, you know, certain concepts about sexuality, about intimacy, loving others, even the concept of love, because within a particular, you know, Joe, because you were kind of involved, so you have an understanding of what I'm saying. I don't know if, of course, the audience out there would totally understand, because it sounds like coming from a different world, but in reality, when you are within a particular specific Catholic environment, and within this particular organization, this particular frame of mind would be ingrained, doctrinated into your mind, and you accept it as natural. When you realize actually that is not natural at all, and that you have to actually, you know, deconstruct your faith and discover the God, you know, the real God, the real face of God, beyond the caricatures that are present, you know, sometimes. And then you realize, even digging deeper into your own faith, into the works of the, you know, the church fathers, and even in Catholic theology itself, that, you know, sometimes the way we've been taught was very selective, that left out other important sources within Catholic tradition. So we're not talking about, you know, going Buddhist or going, you know, out of your faith to something else to try and discover God. God is there, but kind of, he's so much mugged up in this caricature that you don't really see the real God and the real self. Because many a times you end up building a whole caricature of yourself as a human being. And living at the time in the 1990s and early 2000s, that was still quite a taboo subject. You know, okay, people started talking about, but it was still kind of, you know, the gays, kind of as if there's some kind of weird freaks out there. And even in my head, you know, despite being bisexual myself, you know, I still had this freakish understanding of what being gay, because, you know, maybe some people who were out there might have expressed themselves in a particular way, which I would have not seen at all with it. So kind of that didn't help. However, coming out of and passing through a whole process, spiritual process, and I was very thankful even to the Jesuits, because I did the Ignatian exercises the spiritual exercise of Saint Ignatius, and that was very helpful. And then my own spiritual director, who was a Jesuit then, actually encouraged me to encounter drachma. So I've had heard that, way back in 2004, I had heard, in the news and newspapers of the time that a group was being organized for gay Catholic people. But I was in the museum, so wasn't, my thing. So when this opportunity came, I met the leader of the time, who was Mario Gerada, who was the leader of the group at the time. And slowly I started to encounter different people, and it offered me a good space where I could ask questions that I had been so much afraid to ask to myself and about God. And I found people who could understand me and who could also walk with me in my journey. So the group also offered me this safe space. It's a phrase I love using for drachma as well, because it's what was for me, but it is also what we try to do even today with our people. Yeah. A safe space where I could become the person that God wanted me to be. Break down some of those weird ideas that were building up, had built up in my mind, and start to discover, faith. It should be even go beyond courageously, the pale of the church in the strict sense of the word. Particularly when then I met Tyron, I did the very big step, which was for me very big, of deciding to start, a relationship with another person, which was for me a very big thing, given that within church understandings, being gay meant you have to be a castrated person, basically celibate, and live friendships very vaguely. They're okay with saying, heterosexual people, you find a person of the opposite sex, you love the person, you marry, you have children, you can find, but gay people, no, just close yourself in a nice little box, and you can go to heaven that way. Kind of, I can go to heaven by not being myself, which is very strange and very contradictory in itself. How can I, you tell me that I cannot be myself, and that's the only way God loves me. To me, understanding that God created me the way I am, he had to be really cruel and sadistic to then tell me, okay, I've created you like this, but now, hard luck, you have to live in a box, because, that's how things are. And for me, it was quite, kind of charting new ground, because up to now, even when priests and other people used to speak about gay people, kind of always did the ideas, which of course, you have to understand, when being gay was frowned upon, when the gay unions were not recognized, when being gay you would be ostracized, of course people ended up hiding. And always in people's mind, the idea that gay people are people who go and have sex with everyone around, always sex maniacs and cannot have enough sex, and they're just going to change one partner after the other. Reality, aren't all people sometimes doing that? Promiscuity, is it the reserve of gay people only? But there were so much this kind of idea that only gay people are promiscuous. That's really stupid. And it's not because you're gay, but, well, by being gay, you're automatically unable to love. That's totally unacceptable. So, my personal journey allows me to challenge these kind of things, even with Tyron, possibility of building up a relationship together. We've been together since 2013. We married in 2018. And we've been so married for 2 years plus now. Luckily enough, my family was very welcoming. My mom and dad treat, Tyron as if he was their son, and Tyron phones my mom more than I do. So he phones her every They even more than I do. So, you know, even his dad now, he passed away just this January, also accepted us. His sister, of course, was already very gay friendly. So, and Thailand already been a bit out there a bit more. I had been in the closet, and in a sense, it was Drachma then that allowed me to do a little bit of the coming out, because I ended up representing Drachma. I was already coordinating Drachma incognito, so I wasn't out there. But then, when the Civil Unions Bill was published in Parliament, actually it was passed in Parliament, you know, the Consultative Council was asked to go behind the minister and launch the, and I said, well, this is the opportunity. I'm going out. I'm going to, you know, be out there. And I went out there. It did have, and it gave one side. It gave me the opportunity to get, you know, to get all my family, the extended family, friends, and the people get to know without having to tell each one of them, "Hi, I'm gay. Hi, I'm gay." You know, it's easy. You know, done. So you see me on television, I'm there. You know, and it's done. It's dusted. But at the same time, there were, you know, some people who, even within the church, who were shocked when I came out. I was involved in a particular parish as the coordinator of the parish youth group, and I was involved in the parish ministry, you know, coordinating the liturgy and all that, and I was kindly asked to refrain participating because people were a little bit overshocked by my presence. Just to say then on the other side, here in Gudia, the parish know about us, people know about us, but we read at Mass. I'm also part of the local Fraternità Eucharistia of the Eucharist. So, and actually I was invited to it. I didn't even show any interest, and we kind of volunteered to read at the church. The secretary told us, the parish priest wants to talk to you. And me and Tyron were, oh my God, what does he want to tell us? Maybe he's going to do a whole sermon on you're being a gay couple, you cannot be leaders, you know. And when we went to the church, oh yes. When you read, make sure you are reading out loud and people can hear you. And Tyron and I looked at each other. This is very different from what we expected. We didn't expect, you know, just explanation of the protocol of doing reading in a church. We expected something else. Luckily, I mean, it wasn't even an issue for the parish priest. It wasn't even an issue. So just to tell you that, you know, there are two sides of the coin, even in the local church. As Drachma, we have very good rapport with the local bishops. The church and the gay issue have improved. Doesn't mean that there aren't groups that are arch conservative, that are against the gay issue. There are families that are homophobic and transphobic. So yes, those realities also exist. But there are also positive situations, like the anecdotes I mentioned, that show that people are welcoming as well. And it depends, I think, on the way you present yourself. You know, as long as you present yourself as being a serious person who takes seriously your faith as well as your sexuality, you know, in a responsible way and all that, people, you know, don't really bother if you're with a man or with a woman, you know. So that's been my experience.
Thank you very much. Thank you. What's your hope? Have you got any hopes and dreams for Drachma? From your account, it just seems a beautiful way that you've combined your faith and your sexuality. What's your hope? What's for the future? How can people support your work that you do?
Even on an international level, it doesn't make sense because.
Well, on a local level, I mean, I think that the Drachma continues well after, you know, my terms come to an end, because I believe, you know, everyone has a period of time that serves within a community, but then one needs to always be ready to, give up the baton to someone else. So, of course, I'm hoping that after I leave, there will, the work will continue just as much as, I've continued the work. Keep up that safe space, keep that safe space so that people, because I'm sure that there are genuine people who feel that faith is important. I mean, we are living in a very rapidly changing world where secularization is much, and for many people, even many young LGBT people, I mean, apart from LGBT, even many young people in general, faith is becoming less meaningful. So I'm really hoping, first of all, that there will be people who still find faith meaningful, and that the LGBT people then find faith meaningful, and hopefully Drachma can continue to offer them that space as well. I am hopeful because we do have people, young people within our group who are also trying to create a safe space for younger people. My generation is getting older, you need younger people to take care, of younger people too. So we're hoping that that can happen as well. And keep Drachma young and keep Drachma, of course, significant to the reality of the LGBT people in Malta. Internationally, of course, I'm into my second term with the Global Network. I've been involved since 2015, ever since GNRC started, actually. I'm a founding member of GNRC. I was part of the steering committee and part of the first two boards of GNRC and co-chair since 2017. And of course, we're still trying to, get this, build it up internally and make it more, kind of expanding its own capacity building. To be a voice for Catholic LGBT people, for their families, and to show that within the Catholic Church, there is an LGBT space. And these people are not against the church, but want to feel part of the church and want to help the church become further enriched. Because it's only by appreciating the diversity, the rich diversity of the church, and even realize that even within the church resources itself, within its own theology, there exists already the grounds to widen one's understanding of sexuality, one's understanding even of gay relationships, even the sacramentality of gay relationships, which was partly recognized even in the 2014 Synod, that recognized that gay people can live quite heroic, lives of self-sacrifice within a gay relationship. So yeah, I'm hoping that at least in my lifetime, that can be more recognized. Whether or not we will have a re-understanding even of the sacrament of marriage, let's not go there. That's too complicated an issue. I personally believe that, yes, that could be something that, there is already a theological current moving in that direction, and even within GNRC, we have some of the best theologians in LGBT fields that are collaborating on this area as well. So yes, we really hope that we can, even see more hope in the direction, particularly even for our transgender brothers and sisters, because the gender issue is still a big stumbling block for the church. I mean, that kind of obsessive in a sense, but maybe I'm not being too Christian here, but that overemphasis on the biological sex rather than the gender identity, which modern science is showing is the way we should look at gender, is problematic. I understand that, of course, the church's beliefs are built on natural law and the understanding of male and female were created and all that. But really and truly, if we really understand that even God is not a male or female in reality, I mean, just look even at the teachings of Pope John Paul I, then I think there is greater hope even there for a wider understanding of things. So that's my hope.
Chris, I have one last question. People who are not within the LGBTIQ community, how can they contribute to assisting like LGBT people in their faith journey?
Well, there are what we call allies, meaning that people who are not LGBTIQ plus can still be allies of the movement. I mean, of gay